Hi everyone, Sandra Vale here at Homesteading Ways. And today I wanted to go over 6 essential oils that can really help you out this coming winter when the colds and flus start. I picked these particular oils because they're basic, they're well known to most people, and they can be used for a variety of different ailments or just uses. So some people will say to me that they don't want to buy the oils because they figure they're only going to use them one time or for one particular problem, when in reality there are a lot of different uses for many of the oils. So I picked these 6 so that you could get them. Most of them are pretty inexpensive, especially if you buy the smaller sizes. And then you can have them on hand for different uses down the road. So let's get started. First off, most of these oils, or if all of these oils, can be diffused, and that's a really good way to keep them in the air and working day and night, depending on, how often you have your diffuser going. But if you don't have a diffuser, you can use a pot and put this on your stove, put some water in there, and then start adding your drops of oil. And the amount of drops you use really just depends on how big your pot is, how much water you're using, and how strong you want it to be. So I would suggest, if you're using this method, get your water going. Don't boil it. You want this at maybe a low simmer, or almost at that point. You want it really hot, and you want it steaming so that the oil comes up and out. So get it to that point and then start adding a few drops at a time and see how well you can smell it. Also, it depends on how big your room is, and I'm going to assume you're using this in the kitchen because it'll be on the stove. So just, it's a little hit and miss, a little learning curve when you're simmering them on the stove. But your house will smell great, and hopefully you'll feel great too. But then besides that, a lot of times I mix the oils with a carrier oil, and the majority of essential oils should be mixed with a carrier oil because they can be aggravating, irritating if you were to put them directly on your skin. And some of them are quite strong, and they might even burn sensitive or fragile skin. So you always want to mix it with a carrier oil. And I would suggest apricot oil. I like apricot because it's a very mild oil. It doesn't have very much of a smell to it, but it also absorbs really well. Or my favorite standby all the time, grapeseed oil. I use this in cooking, and you can buy this directly from your local supermarket. It's not overly expensive, and this too doesn't have much of an aroma on its own, and it does also absorb well. So those are 2 of the carrier oils that I would use. So as far as the essential oils go, we're going to start here with lemon. Let me start by saying I am not endorsing any particular brand of essential oils. I buy from a lot of different companies, and these are just the particular ones I have on hand. But anyhow, let's get started with this lemon oil. It's really good for your respiratory system and for coughs and a sore throat. It's an antiseptic. It's an immune stimulator, and it works really good for suppressing coughs. So you're going to want to use this particularly in your diffusers and in perhaps an oil rub. So you're going to put some drops into a carrier oil, about oh geez, about an ounce of oil. And you can rub this directly on your throat or on your chest, and it will absorb and it will help with the cold symptoms I just told you about, like the cough and the sore throat and all of that. And many of these oils can be combined, so keep that in mind when you're using them. Also, I will be putting all of this information down in the description box so you can refer back to it that way. And so make sure you check that out. The next oil we're going to talk about is eucalyptus. Now, eucalyptus oil is fabulous. I mean, most people have probably already been exposed to it through other kinds of like vapor rubs, stuff like that. But eucalyptus is a really good antiviral, and it's a fabulous decongestant. It's great for your sinuses. It helps to loosen up mucus and lessen pain. But one of the really good methods of using eucalyptus oil is in steam. And so remember that pot I showed you? Go ahead and fill up that pot and get the water boiling. Then take it off of the stove, add just 1 or 2 drops of eucalyptus, and you can also add 1 or 2 drops of peppermint. And then tent it. Just put your face over the pot, a safe distance away. Wrap a towel around so that you keep that steam in, and then just breathe in the steam from the eucalyptus and the peppermint, and that's going to open you up right away. It's the eucalyptus works so great as a decongestant, but the peppermint here will actually help with any kind of swelling in your nasal passages and stuff. So this combo right here is, like a home run for stuffy noses in particular. And so seeing we're talking about the peppermint, let's move on to that. This is antiseptic, it's antiviral, and it's an expectorant, so it will help pull all of that stuff out. It also acts as a cough suppressant, and it's really good for your sinuses. So again, use that in the steam with the eucalyptus, but you can also use this by itself in a diffuser, or if you're going to use, that little method of simmering on the stove. Both of these are pretty strong, so always start with 1 drop and then move up from there if you feel you need to. The next herb I want to cover is ginger. I don't know how well you guys can see that. There you go. Ginger is a warming spice, and it feels good when you use ginger. Ginger works really good for your sinuses, a sore throat, a runny nose, or a stuffy nose. So it's an expectorant, and it's an antispasmodic, meaning, if you have that kind of cough that just keeps going on and on and on, this will help to calm that down a little bit. So go ahead and diffuse it, simmer it on your stove, or put it in the oil, especially if you're having a problem, with coughing a lot, and like a lot of mucus perhaps in your chest in particular. So put a few drops of this in that oil and rub it on your chest, maybe even your throat as well, and it should really help to clear that up. Next on the list we have oregano. Oregano is really considered a powerhouse in essential oils. Oregano works great for all kinds of coughs because it works as an expectorant, but it's actually been proven to help quite a bit with whooping cough. And there are people and children that still get whooping cough even after they've been inoculated. So if you were to have a case like that on your hand, of course you go to the doctor and do whatever the doctor recommends. I'm just saying that the oregano can really help speed the healing of that, but cut back on the severe coughing. So, and you can use it for stuff other than whooping cough, of course. It does work as a great expectorant. So, go ahead and put this in your diffuser, 10-15 drops. You know, if you want to use it in the oil on your chest, I would say probably about 15 drops to 1 ounce of oil. That should work pretty well for you. And again, you can mix this with other oils. I'll be putting links down there in the description box to kind of get you started on your research. And then the last oil I have here is lavender. And people know a lot about lavender because lavender has so many uses and is just so good for you in a lot of different ways. But when we're talking about colds and flus, lavender is an antiseptic. It's antibacterial and antifungal. So it kind of covers a lot of bases right there. But it works as a great cough suppressant. And it does help to relax you. And so if you can add this in, if you use it all by itself, that's great. But if you add it into, you know, some of these other oils, then you just get that little bit extra. I would put it in a diffuser, and I would also use it in the oil as a chest rub. And so these are the oils that I recommend, and I really hope will get you and your family through the upcoming cold and flu season without too many problems. Anyhow, thanks for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you liked it, make sure to thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That would be great. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook. The links are always down in the description box. It was nice talking to you. And you take care.